Welcome back to the Sesame Spectacle podcast. I'm Sky,
And I'm Neil.
and we're talking about today the Abby's Paradise Theater. And we're going to go through all the shows that have been there recently and the past four shows or so, and just go a little bit into the history about the entertainment there. And we wanted to break this up by theater because there's so much to talk about for each theater. We didn't want to really cram everything into one video, so
Yes, absolutely.
yeah.
This theater has a lot of significant history, guys. This theater has been around since I want to say 1988, Sky, since the theater, not the theater, but the neighborhood, opened up. If I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken,
that's when the
this
neighborhood
theater's
opened up.
been around. Now, this theater hasn't housed that many productions, but it has housed fairly a decent amount of good modern productions, as we want to say. This is the new logo of Abby's Paradise Theater. It looks a little crooked, a little, but we are going to discuss all of the modern show history, basically from 2007 all the way until 2024. So the first show to kick us off and start us off is pretty much Abby Cadabby's Treasure Hunt. And Sky, you can take it away there.
Yeah, Abby's Treasure Hunt went on for about 5 years. It started in 2007, and it's also when the theater was renamed. Before that, it was just the Paradise Theater. And when Abby came along, onto the show and into the park as a walk around, they renamed the theater for this show, and it ran from 2007 till 2011.
Yes, this show was the debut of the fairy in training Abby Cadabby. Abby Cadabby debuted in 2007 alongside this show, and this show was a massive hit. There is Abby Cadabby right there, with her wand and her old style dress. This is how she looked when she originally came to the park. This is not the exact costume. This is her in her later years, but this is what Abby Cadabby would basically look like when you would see her back in 2007. Um, Now, what was this show all about? In the Paradise Theater, with the name Paradise, you got to have a paradise setting. What better way is to have that is with a beach. You go to Sesame Island. This show was a whole lot of fun. So many characters. You have Grover, Cookie, Rosita, Elmo, and of course, Abby Cadabby making her Sesame Place debut. This show featured countless of songs, familiar and some new. The one thing I do love about this show, Sky, is that it kicks off with basically the second theme song of Sesame Street, and it kicks off with Another Sunny Day, which carries over from a live show, Sesame Street Live, Out of This World. It's an original song written by John Baker, if I'm not mistaken, and Sherilyn Draper. They wrote the song, if I'm not mistaken. Um, Fact check me on that, please, in the comments. But it's a wonderful, wonderful song, and it's a great way to open up the show. And we do have some video clip here, guys, of the show. Um, Oscar is also in this edition of the show as well. And
He's
interesting
a
enough,
puppet in
guys,
this, right?
yes, he's a
He's a
puppet in
real
the
small
show.
puppet.
Yeah, he's a very interesting puppet. Now, if you notice in this video, it's not the same puppet they utilize in the full run of the show. This is the other, I believe, Max puppet or whatever puppet they used for meet and greets. But the one great thing about this show is that it's very vibrant. The first song of it, Another Sunny Day, basically embraces you in the world that you're about to see. The characters interacting on an island. You're not on the typical street set. So in a way, they're kind of on like a vacation in a way. and you see them outside of their normal Sesame environment. And it's a fun little show um, where they basically meet this talking trunk back here. And the talking trunk puts them on this quest of basically finding some treasure. Now, what is this treasure, you might ask? We'll get there. But they go on this fun little journey, basically trying to find clues to find the hidden treasure that's locked in the trunk. Um, Now, the fun thing about this show is they utilize a lot of animatronics in the show. And as you see here, there is this talking tree that has their eyes closed. But later, further on in the show, you will see the tree does come to life and it does have a conversation, a little song and dance number with Cookie Monster and Rosita. And they sing a classic Sesame Street song, Sing. Oh, and you see Cookie Monster here, basically bowing down in a way to Queen Abby, giving her wand. Um, and the one thing I love about this show, Sky, is something I noticed. They use a lot of vocabulary in this show. The running theme on this show, it seems to me, is reading. Um, and they do
Yeah.
a lot of rhyming wordplay with Abby. And I think that was well, one of the goals when they, debuted her. I guess they used her in a way to make reading and vocabulary fun. At least in the earlier years, I noticed that's something that they always will put her in these little rhyming spells and these little rap games to use certain wordplay.
Yeah,
This is
definitely.
a clip right here of Abby trying to do one of these little rhyming tricks. Right on, Oscar. Now that's one of the better Oscars, guys. That's one of the better Oscars.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Um,
one of them looked like I don't even think it was a hand puppet. I think it was.
it. You know
I
what's
don't know how to
funny,
describe
Sky?
it. It was really small, and
Hmm.
it looked like it was hanging from something. I'm not sure exactly how it works. I haven't seen it in a while, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I
it was.
kind of I'm trying to scar the audience by not showing it, but I think everybody will do better with the visual. So I am downloading currently an
Yeah,
image to
that
share
was
with
something that
everybody
they
as
did a
we go
lot with.
along.
That's something they did a lot with Oscar specifically.
Hmm.
He's where he used to be a puppet and then a walk around, and um, in the Rock Around the Block parade he was a puppet, but he was a little bit more of like a normal size.
Yeah.
Um, so he's had a lot of variations over the years, and
Hmm.
this a show before this, which we're not going into detail with, but was Oscar's game show, which was actually at the
Oh
theater
yes.
before it was Abby's Paradise Theater, and
Hmm.
he was a puppet, but he was a bigger size. He was, you know, um, he was in proportion with the other walk around. Yeah, here's our weird little guy.
Yeah, this is the weird little guy we're talking about. This was one of the most interesting approaches to the Grouch himself. Um, Now, looking at it, I can take a guess of why they probably went with this approach. Um, it is a smaller can, so you probably do need a smaller version of the puppet in there. Um, but this seems like one of those puppets that just doesn't have an arm. Um,
Yeah,
and
he
that's
moves
probably
kind
why
of
he
like a
looks weird.
ghost.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's what he really looks like. Excuse me. He's a very interesting fella. Um, this is the puppet that most guests would see if they did come see the show. If you did
I
have the
I do think
privilege,
it. I think it premiered with this puppet.
yes, yeah, it
Yeah,
definitely did.
yeah. This was the yeah.
This was the premiere day puppet for sure.
This was
Um,
also the um first full cast. Well, not full cast, but the first large cast show at the park that didn't feature Bert and Ernie. Um, there were a couple of those smaller shows, like there's Elmo's World and like Oscar's Game Show, where it's just like a couple. But as far as
You're
doing a
absolutely right.
full production, this was the first one that didn't feature them.
That is true. And Bert and
But it
Ernie.
also had Rosita, who was hadn't really been in much, and obviously
Right.
Abby. So,
This is actually wait a minute. This might actually be the first stage show for Rosita at the park.
I think you're right.
This is Abby's and Rosita's first stage show. Like, obviously Rosita was in the Rock Around the Block parade,
Yeah,
but
Rosita was never at the Big Bird Theater.
no.
I don't think she ever was.
Now there is this one show that was in '96, Making Music, Making Friends. There is little to no information on that show. Though she might have been in that show, but we don't know. No one really knows.
Maybe we'll be proven wrong at some point, but
I mean, that'll be great to be proven wrong.
From what we know at this time.
Yeah, this is Rosita's stage show debut as well.
She kicked Bert and Ernie out of there.
Honestly, it had to be her and Abby that did it. Yeah, technically. But we needed some girl power. I mean, there was some girl power that was needed and missing. Bert and Ernie was still at the park, performing in Big Bird's beach party, which is great. Now this part here, guys, this clip, we're going back a little bit more. This part is from the sing a song section. This is a great little number. It's a classic Sesame Street song. This is one of the animatronics in the background singing, as I was talking about. This is a great part in the show. They get the audience involved and everyone starts singing. I love this rendition. Would love to hear this on audio CD in the future. And later on in the show, Grover does have a song with a talking toucan. This is not Sam the Toucan, guys, from Fruit Loops, or anything like that, but
he's a distant relative.
This is a distant relative. This is another talking toucan. And they do a rendition of Shout, but it's Squaw. I like this little cover. One thing I would say Sesame is really good at, and they're really good at doing covers. Especially it seems like with this, we're going to talk about this guy a lot. This conductor, this music productionist, this guy John Baker, which I'm assuming did this audio too, because he did a lot of the audio for the Sesame Place. And it's just something that is prominent in these shows. These covers are really well done. And this is just another showing of one of those.
And they've always been really good at parodies and covers of like classic stuff.
So you got Grover, and
I think that's their best bet.
Running around squawking, and then from that scene you go to Elmo and Abby, and then Abby sings a song, "I Love Words," which is her staple song basically when she debuted on the live show. So they sing this song, rhyming words, which is what we were talking about earlier about Abby's purpose, I guess, at the beginning of her debut was vocabulary and rhymes and words and all that kind of stuff. So they sing this fun song as well. Another fun thing that we did not talk about, we kind of skipped over, but before the characters split up into their own paths trying to find the clues and whatever, they cut this out, from my understanding, towards the end of the run. But Abby, Elmo, and Oscar do sing "I Love Trash" in the island theme, and it's a really good rendition. I don't have video clip on hand of that right now, but it is on YouTube for those who have not seen it. It's really, really, really well done. And then this is just another fabulous scene, good choreography, them fast paced and everything like that. And then from there, the characters then move on, Sky, to this scene here where they compare all of the notes that they got We're gonna cut this part out. Rosita, Cookie find the no clue. Grover finds the not clue, and Elmo and Abby find the top clue. So they now have to come together and put all these clues um, together to figure out what the message or the actual quote unquote clue is. So they sing this fun song that was originally in a Sesame Street live show, Elmo's coloring book, called Mix It Up. This time, Rosita sings the song instead of the palettes. And it's a fun rendition of the song where they just mix around the words and then they come to the conclusion that the no actually is upside down and actually is on. And they found out the clue is knock on top. And they end up knocking on top of the actual trunk and they're not doing it right. And then they find out they need help from their friends, which are the audience, and they make as much noise as possible. And the trunk opens for everybody, and they find the treasure. And what is the treasure, you might ask? Books. Books are the treasure. Books are fantastic. Books are wonderful, guys. This is what the show was preaching. Well, not preaching, but it was trying to get the message across of, reading is fun. And like I said, I feel like that was Sesame's approach by debuting Abby Cadabby, is to pushing that vocabulary, pushing reading, pushing literature, and showing how words can be fun, even if they are a lot.
The show was really centered around what Abby's character was for in a lot of ways in her debut on Sesame Street on the show. So I think it was a good sort of summation of what they were trying to do with that character specifically. And the show surprisingly actually didn't last very long. 5 years is, especially for some of the other ones we're going to talk about and shows at the other theaters, it's not a long time.
Not at all.
But I'm sure, with Abby as a new character, they probably just had so many ideas of what to do, and they probably just wanted to quickly get to a new idea, to another thing.
Yeah.
But
it's interesting because in those earlier years of Sesame, like entertainment, those shows, they stayed for a phenomenally long time. And even now today, when you look at the Magic of Art show, that's been there since 2016. Hopefully it's still running. But you have shows like that run for 8, 9, 10 years. If the show is good. And unlike the holiday shows stay longer because they're really only performed in this condensed short amount of time, so it makes sense for them to last 12, 15 years because it really hasn't got its full run or use out of the audience.
Yeah, so they last longer, but they don't have as many performances.
Correct. Correct.
They stick around for longer.
And the beautiful thing about Abby Cadabby's Treasure Hunt is it has a counterpart. This show was not just performed at Sesame Place, but the show was retooled and retitled to Elmo and Abby's Treasure Hunt. It was performed daily or weekends only at SeaWorld Orlando. And when shows moved from one park to another, there was obviously some changes. You saw the removal of Oscar, so there was no Oscar in the show. They made the show a little bit shorter, but it was still great. Still a great show. But yeah, from Abby's Cadabby's Treasure Hunt, we now move on to the next show on hand that replaced that show, and that's Let's Play Together. And Sky, take it away with that.
Let's Play Together started in 2012, so it started the season after Treasure Hunt ended, and that show lasted a very long time. I believe the last time it was ever performed was in 2021, and so technically it's been around for, technically it's lasted within 18 years, but it's not 18 years, 9 years. but yeah, it's still. I don't believe it's permanently gone.
Oh, you don't believe it's permanently gone?
I don't think it's permanently gone.
Okay, so personal
But
choice, guy. Honestly, I hope it is.
well, you could argue it's definitely outdated.
It's not. So first and foremost, guys, Let's Play Together is a fantastic show. That's not why I said what I said. It's a fantastic show, and I think SeaWorld agrees that it's such a fantastic show because they bring it to every single park possible. And for me, I like variety. Variety is great. Now with these Sesame characters, I like to see variety. So if Let's Play Together is playing at Sesame Place, and I, as a consumer of SeaWorld parks and whatnot, go to Williamsburg, I don't want to see the same thing.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Or if I go down to Tampa, I don't want to see the same thing. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
That's where my criticism of the show comes from. Outside of that, it's a fantastic show. It has a lot of good numbers. This show has a longevity at Sesame Place, and it shows. It's a really great interactive show for parents, kids alike. It's actually one of the last shows we got from Kevin Clash.
Yeah.
So it's really special. And Steve. Yeah. Those were the last two shows we got from them. Pretty much as their particular voices for Elmo and Ernie respectively. And the show couldn't have started off better, Scott. Like, that opening to that show is fantastic. It starts off with the Elmo Slide, which arguably, I guess, along with Elmos Got the Moves, I guess can we say now is a Sesame Street classic song now?
Probably, yeah.
It's a song that got kids up and moving back then. This, I guess you could say, this is their Casper Slide. There's a kid that ran up on the stage. But yeah, this is how the show started. It started off with pretty much the mascot of Sesame Street today, Elmo. So Elmo started off with the Elmo Slide. That's pretty much how the show started. And then it jumped into the next Sesame Street classic song, which is Elmo's Got the Moves, and we pretty much has the whole gang come out. And if you notice something here, guys, we pretty much have the same cast of Abby's Treasure Hunt minus Oscar, and we get Bert and Ernie back. They're back. This is the next stage show that they appeared in outside of Big Bird's Beach Park. This was a nice welcome back, even though they did come back 2 years prior in another stage show that we'll get to in a future episode. But yeah, we have Bert, Ernie, Cookie, Grover, Rosita, Abby, and of course Elmo are the stars of this show.
Yeah, and something that's actually surprisingly not that common is that everybody's in their just original outfit. No one's in a costume or anything. It's just very classic.
Yeah, no one's wearing a special outfit.
Yeah,
just a generic spring summer show. And it's great to see them in their original outfits. Now, we love seeing them when they're wearing something that they're normally not wearing, like on the TV show. But it's definitely nice to see them in their natural state, not wearing a special suit for the show or whatever, anything like that.
And once again, this show had a lot of good, covers and parody type music.
Oh, for sure. And I love the set on this, honestly. Excuse me. The set on this is fantastic. You have a playground set, something super simple. This is something I can see them putting in the actual park itself. Like, if they're not reusing the set for anything, I feel like with this new
Yeah.
playground they're doing, make like a miniature playground somewhere, like in a corner somewhere, and put this there. I feel like that would be a great utilization of a prop that you have. And yes, technically this is a prop. It's not an actual quote unquote play set, I guess. But it looks pretty safe to me. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, this is the set of the show. This is the beginning of it. So like I said, from the Elmo Slide, they jump right into another classic, I guess, Sesame Street song now. Elmo's Got the Moves. Each character has their own spot in the show. So it starts off with Elmo, then Abby goes into her own verse, and Bert and Ernie has their own verse as well. And the one thing I love about this opening is they give every characters like their time to shine. Um, and it's something that past shows necessarily not always did. They'll have a character there, but they didn't have a purpose. They would just be there just to have a full cast of 8. This time they utilize every character, which is what I love. Now, if you notice, guys, Ernie did a little whip. It's a little dated, but he definitely did a little whip action there. You see Cookie got energy. And this is the older style of the costumes too. That's the old Animax Cookie Monster, which was a very interesting design. I actually prefer this design to what they have now. Oh, look at that fun little split.
And how many do they have? Like multiple variations of this or updates to it, or did it stay more or less the same?
It stayed morally the same like that until 2018 when Feld took the reins of the live shows and they updated the quality of them. And then we got the Cookie that looks like Cookie now. I actually really prefer the old style Cookie than this new one. It does look a little strange though, because you got his, his big flap of a belly there and then these skinny legs. But I felt like this was a little bit more on brand to the V costume a bit. Like it was taking inspiration from that and it was still utilizing that shagginess drop to him a bit versus like this newer style, which is more of like a teddy bear built kind of body.
He's also very, very light blue.
Yeah. And I think that might be like the way the light is reflecting on him, but yeah, he's definitely lighter than normal. And from this number, we go into a classic, and I mean classic, Sesame Street Live hand clapping game. Shake Your Head One Time makes its return in this show. Bert and Ernie sing the number, which is honestly a welcome addition to the show. Love anytime Bert and Ernie have a song and dance number. And this rendition of Shake Your Head One Time was fantastic. It was so good, Scott, that they took the same arrangement and brought it over to the live show, and they did the same arrangement for Sesame Street Live Let's Dance. This time though, no Bert, but Ernie did sing the song with Count, Telly, and Rosita. So if you want to hear this song arrangement in some type of good, clear audio, you can hear it on the Let's Dance soundtrack. Not the same exact version, but the same arrangement, which is still nice. So from this scene here, we go from Shake Your Head One Time to Muévete, Rosita's number in the show. Now, personally, I do love this number. They actually brought this number back in one of the dance parties last year. But this is a fun little number with Rosita, Elmo, Abby, Bert, and Ernie as well. One thing I really wish they would have done instead, Sky, there's a song called Amigos, I felt like since the show is all about friendship, that song would have been a perfect choice for it. But I
Yep.
do understand why they included this song instead. Um, Fun fact, guys, about this song, they cut this song out of the revamped version when COVID hit. Um, so they cut this song and "Shake Your Head One Time" in the revamped version, and they also removed the characters Grover and Cookie as well. We'll get a little bit into that towards the end of the breakdown of this show, though. But yeah, this is how the show is. This is really great. I love the use of audience incorporation with this, having the characters come out on stage, having them try to do the dance move and say muerte and all that stuff. From this song, though, comes the best scene in this entire show, in my opinion. I think Sal, you might agree. One of the more classic Sesame Street songs, a very simple dance, originally done by Jim Henson on the soundtrack version. I remember it personally from the television show when David did it. But this
Yeah.
song made its stage show return, and this time they kind of took inspiration from the Play With Me Sesame version. If you guys are not aware, this is not the first time Grover and Cookie Monster did this rendition of the song. But yeah, they do this song and they do it in justice. Cookie keeps saying "eat cookie, eat cookie." Grover's telling him like, "You gotta say something different, buddy. Like we gotta be really entertaining with this."
But this song hadn't been around in the park for a very, very long time.
Very long time. I'm gonna turn this up a little bit so everyone can hear. But this is such a great number. One of my favorites in the show. Best scene.
And you wouldn't really be able to tell from this rendition of it how old the song is.
Mm-mm.
You know, this
You
is
would
like
think it's
70s old.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course for the live shows, eventually Jim Henson did audio with Ernie. And I don't think, since Jim Henson did it, I don't think there was ever a real like professional version like this since then. Especially not in
I'm trying to think what other live show that this show had been in. But yeah, it would have been 20 plus years since this song was in the film. Such a good number, though. Every time I watch the clip, I just get so stuck. Excuse me. Cookie Monster shaking his backside. And then from this song, guys, we go into this rhyming song with Abby, piggybacking off the last show we just talked about, them pushing, what Abby was there for, which was vocabulary, words, rhyme. And this is just another great utilization of her skills as a fairly good rhymer. As a fairy, you gotta know how to rhyme because you gotta get those magic spells.
Yep. And these are really all audience participation songs. This is the title of the show kind of implies that, but it really is like a participation show.
It really is. This is what I feel like the whole show Let's Dance for Sesame Street Live. I feel like this is kind of where they should have went with this. Because I know with Let's Dance they wanted a more of an interactive type of feel and show. And if they would have followed the same type of format as this, I feel like that show would have been a little bit more successful. Not saying that Let's Dance wasn't successful, but that show was just a mixture of, it didn't really know what it wanted to be. It's a dance party, it's all about dancing, but you have 5 or 6, 7 storylines. This storyline was very simple. Bring everybody together to play. Everybody has their own section of the song, and that's it.
I mean, I would argue this hardly had much of an actual storyline. It more feels more like a compilation of, like play along music.
Well, they still follow like a simple storyline of like, okay, we want to play together. We want to find out how everybody, or not how everybody, they want to find, well, not everybody. Elmo wants to find out how each one of his friends have fun. Like, if that makes sense. I don't think it does.
Yeah, and usually the other shows, there'll be like one audience participation song.
This whole thing
like
is
all of them. Yeah, this is the whole thing is like that.
Yeah. And then we get towards the end of the show where they're now just discussing the different ways friends like to have fun together. And then they discuss the current events that just went on, rhyming, cooperation, playing different games, stuff like that. And then they go into a rendition of a song that they did back in the 90s with Erica Badu on Friendship, which is really good to hear again. And then, in true Sesame fashion, they go into this whole cover lore and do a cover of Lean On Me, which was amazing to hear, which I love. But this really topped off the feel of the show, in my opinion. It's funny because they're walking on the bleachers.
Yeah, it's amazing to think that only until like a few years ago, 2021, was just still playing such a long time.
Yeah, and that version, guys, that we're talking about, because if you see below the screen, their band version 2020 and 2021. So obviously during the COVID years, things had to change. In 2019, it seemed like we were getting a new show. They completely that was the last year fully performed in its regular capacity. And I think in 2020 they were supposed to get a new show. What do I know though? I don't know. But I guess the events of COVID pushed that back. And then they brought the show back, but they brought it back in a very condensed way. Kind of like how Let's Party got its condensed version in Scenes for Celebration, which toured at fairs and stuff like that. It wasn't a typical Sesame Street live show. It was a 45-minute show. But they took away Grover and Cookie, and they cut out a lot of the songs that were really in this show, and then they put the generic "If You're Happy and You Know It" song from one of the CDs into the show. So it kind of changed. It did change. It became its own different show, even though it's still the same show. But I prefer the original version from 2012 to 2018. A Very Simple Dance will always be my favorite rendition from this run. And this show has made its debut in other parts. Williamsburg, it premiered there sometime in 2015 or whatever. It did that there. It also did its run in Busch Gardens, Tampa, at their Safari of Fun Park. They did a version of that, which was totally different from what we've seen here in PA, but still a fun show. Excuse me. Pardon me. But one thing I will say about this show is it's fun, it's cute. Will I like to see it return again someday? Sure. For a friendship weekend, or anything the park wants to do. Having these audio clips still, you should utilize them. That's just something I think they should do in the future.
And I mean, clearly they don't have much of an issue, it seems, with having the older audio as far as the performers, because Steve Whitmire's still in the parade, so
Right.
and they still play old music and stuff from years ago, and they seem to not
Absolutely.
really. That seems to not really be a factor they ever consider.
Mhm.
Because sometimes they'll put in an old song, like an old Elmo song that's that's Kevin Clash in the middle of a different show. So they don't seem to really factor that in. But yeah, I'm curious if they still even have the set, because that would really tell us whether or not they plan to bring it back.
Knowing Sesame Place, probably not. But I mean, you can only hope. You can only hope. But my thing is, like, where are they going to keep all of that? You would think they buy storage for it, but yeah, because I can see use in some things like that playground set, reusing it for an actual attraction or whatever, But from Let's Play Together, we have another show we're going to talk about quickly too, because it doesn't have that much significance in history at the park.
Yeah, the next show kind of showed up. The next show kind of showed up around. I think it was kind of during Let's Play Together, right? It was probably towards the end of that.
Towards the end of it, yeah, it actually premiered. While it was still kind of running in a way. Yeah, kind of. It was still running. They utilized the same set. And the show we're talking about, guys, is on the Buccaneers.
Yeah, and that show ran from, well, it was 2017 and 18, and then it came back in 2021. And as far as we know, they're still doing it. But originally it actually premiered in Orlando in 2007. So
yeah,
this is, along with Abby's Treasure Hunt, is simultaneously the oldest show here we're talking about. And it's also technically the oldest show at all that is still playing at Sesame Place.
Yeah, and this show has some very interesting history. Even though we're talking about Sesame Place currently, the show did start its original run back in 2007 in SeaWorld Orlando, and it was a much more bigger, elaborate production. It was really taking place.
It's at least existed. It's at least existed for around 16 years.
Yeah, and it featured more characters than what we have now. When I say more, one more. So the differences between SeaWorld's version and our version is we don't have any jet skis, we don't have any waterfronts, and in the later years, at least, they did remove Cookie from the show. But the show itself, it was a really fun show. You'll see Abby, Telly, love Telly. Gotta love any show Telly's in. Elmo, Bert and Ernie, Rosita, and I'm missing somebody. And Cookie, but Cookie got removed. And basically the show is kind of, in a way, very similar to Abby's Treasure Hunt. And I feel like both of these shows were made with the same type of mindset, with the reading, pushing the reading and the literature to kids and everything like that, because the show was all about books. You have these fun, book-loving pirates in the show, and we do have clip from last year's run of the show itself. So you have all the characters in their private outfits. And the one thing I do love about the show is that it's still using the same cover style idea that the previous Sesame Street or Sesame Place shows did in the past. And utilizing that same awesome music production guy, John Baker, he returned to do this show as well. So when the show begins, you would hear the rendition. And that Sunny Days is the same arrangement from Elmo Makes Music. But it's sped up a little bit, and they use different verses instead of saying Sesame Street at the end. What were you saying, Scott?
This video is from the early run.
This video is from last year.
Okay. So did
So
they get
this
rid of
is
the
the
costume?
latest set. So this is where they remove Cookie and everything like that. In the original run, they still utilized the playground set. And they just had to, you guys had just had to use your imagination and just think it was the beach. It was only for one weekend, guys, so they had to make do with what they had to make do with.
So they had to have removed the costumes at some point.
Remove who? I'm sorry.
Removed the costumes, right? Or
What do
did
you
they
mean?
just put them on later in the show? Because in the other
Oh,
clips,
you mean yeah? So they'll put them on later on in the show.
okay.
Yeah, so there'll be a whole section. Yeah. So after this song, the pirates run out. They go through their whole monologue. They're saying what they're there for. The characters are like, "Oh, we want to be Buccaneers too." And then the characters go on the back to do their costume change. And this is basically the point of the show where Bert and Ernie have their number. First, Ernie does his Rubber Ducky song, and then from there, he goes in the back. Bert comes back out. Bert performs doing the pigeon, and from there, Bert goes to the back again, and all of the characters come out, and they're wearing these outfits that you see here. So you have Abby having her little stash, and she has an earring in her ear. Rosita has a little scarf, some jewelry here. Tully has his little pirate shirt and pirate hat up there. Ernie does a full costume wardrobe change, takes off the sweater, gets his little pirate striped shirt, and depending on timing, he'll have a belt and he won't have a belt. Or the belt will go to Cookie if Cookie was in the show. Very, very strange. But then he'll have an eye patch on.
Fun fact as far as Bert and Ernie goes, but when they do the Halloween Spectacular event and everybody's in costume, this is what they wear.
Yes, they're wearing their pirate outfits from this show. So these pirate outfits do get reused.
Yeah, so you'll see them during Halloween too.
Elmo there. Elmo has his like sea captain outfit on, I guess. And I'm gonna say sea captain because they use the same outfit to describe him as a sea captain in their Halloween Spectacular.
But you'd think, I would think it would be, I think it's kind of a missed opportunity for Elmo to wear that outside the park, because if you look at Good Ship Sesame Island, he's dressed as a captain up there. So you think maybe they could put him around that area in this costume, and it would feel a little bit more like,
do like a little promotional shoot or something.
Yeah, I feel like they could do something like that.
That would actually be pretty nice. Actually, I'm thinking about it.
Because these have walk around characters back there.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have been
don't do it now, but
no. But if they did, they should put them in this.
I think we're in a new day and age where certain things just can't be done because of of how crowds are now, I guess we can say. But from this song, from this scene, from doing the pigeon, the characters come back out, and then they try to find out how to be pirates. So the pirates basically starts quizzing them to see if they can become buccaneers, and then they basically try to figure out what's the pirate's favorite letter. Now, in true stereotype form, you assume a pirate's favorite letter is R, but it's not. It's F. Okay. So then Telly and his friends sing a song about finding words that start with F, which is flounder, feet, fish that fly. And yes, I just said some lyrics from the song. So yeah, they sing a song called exactly that. I need a word that starts with F, or finding words that start with F. And then from there, they do this fun little number with these puppet squids called Doing the Squid. It's like a fun little quick number. I guess it's like an in-between song, but from there in the finale. And then we reach the finales, and pretty much they basically do the reprise of a song that they performed earlier in the show called Pirates Who Love to Read. And then that ends the show. There's not much to say about this show in particular. It's something I felt like we should include because it is a part of their continuous seasonal thing that they do at Sesame Place. And it's not necessarily a holiday show, so why not include it into this modern Sesame Place Abbey Paradise Theater history podcast episode. But yeah, this show is a lot of fun. I don't like that they took Cookie out, but I guess for casting reasons, it makes a lot of sense. It's already hard with casting as it is now, so having one less Muppet is acceptable considering what we have here. And it's kind of hard taking Telly out when Telly has a major song in the show. So I can understand why they took Cookie out and kept Telly Monster. But from that show, guys, we are entering the final show. Now, this show needs really no introduction at all. This show first debuted last year, so it's fairly new. It's something that a lot of people didn't expect. It first debuted at Sesame Place San Diego, and it made its way to Sesame Place Philadelphia in 2023, and that show is Welcome to the Party. Really love that show, I really do.
Yeah. This is going to be our newest and current show at the theater.
Yeah, it's the newest one. It's the more recent show. It features pretty much the Fab Five. You have your live host here, whose name is DJ Danny, which is a great character that they created for this show. The one thing I do appreciate about this version of this show versus the San Diego version, and this might be mainly because of the performers themselves, or just how PA performs their shows in general, but this version of the Hello song feels more upbeat, more hype. As you can see in this video here, the characters are really excited. They have a lot of energy, and they're moving a lot more than the previous shows that we've seen in the past. This show is really choreography based. You see Grover there moving and grooving, having a good old time doing his moves. Abby Cadabby being her authentic self. But this show premiered in 2023 for the nice crowd of Sesame Place cast members and guests. This show kicks off with the DJ. The DJ welcomes everybody to Sesame Street and basically invites her friends out on stage, and they perform the Hello song, which is a now popularized Sesame Street song. So popular that it's becoming its own live show. Sesame Street Live Say Hello, guys, coming later on this year. But yeah, the Hello song is really upbeat and so much fun to listen to. The show is coming back next month, or actually no, this month, later on this month, for the Elmos Thanksgiving extravaganza. So it's going to be really nice to see this show again. So basically, this show is all about the friends coming together and wanting to have this welcome show. Basically welcoming the audience, everyone who's watching the show, to Sesame Street. So they all come up with their own different ideas of what they think the welcome show should be. Of course, Elmo being Elmo, he wants his show to be a dancing show. So he starts the party off, I guess, with his rendition of You Got the Body. You Got the Body is a Sesame Street song originally sung by Neo, but this version has the characters singing it instead. And this song brings the debut of a fun little puppy in Elmo's life. Now, who is that puppy that I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen? You're about to see her. This show debuts Tango to the party, kind of. This show introduced Tango to Sesame Place, and we get her in puppet form, which I like a lot. I actually like her in this form versus her walk around form. I know
Yeah,
it's
me too.
crazy to say, but I feel like the perfect walk around scenario for Tango would be have her in Elmo's hand. Like, pull one of those, like, I don't know, Sty, if you remember, Elmo's were live on the Halloween show where they had Telly Monster holding this bag of the candy bag, but the candy bag was an actual puppet. I
Hmm.
felt like I feel like they could have did something in a similar way with Tango and
Yeah,
Elmo, and I
because
feel
you'll see
like
they do that with puppets sometimes, where the performer's arm
yeah,
is, Elmo's real arm there is just it's the false arm, and the performer's
mhm,
hand is in the dog puppet. It would be in Tango's,
yeah,
to perform the
I
puppet.
feel like that was a
You
missed
see that a lot of
opportunity.
times I know in Disney they do that with like all the
Hmm.
dinosaurs. Somebody's holding a
Yeah.
dinosaur and they have their hand in.
Mhm.
They could have done something like that. I think would have been cool, but it also would have been it would have made it more complicated to perform because
Possibly.
you're technically the performer's doing two characters, so it's a little bit more difficult.
Yeah. But honestly, these folks at Sesame Place are talented enough. I feel like they could have definitely pulled it off.
Oh yeah,
Um, but yeah, so Tango has her debut in puppet form in this show. They sing "You Got the Body," and then from "You Got the Body," Grover comes out with this outrageous, huge bubble machine.
yeah. This will be
And
the running gag.
yeah, this running gag in the show, Grover's trying to make this bubble machine work, and he doesn't have much success in the beginning of the show, but later on he does end up having success. Um, this is actually a part in the show where he's trying to get to work, but it just shoots out water. Fun fact how this works: there's a button on the actual machine where the Grover presses when the water comes out. I think this is actually the showing where he accidentally pressed it. Oh no, this isn't the show. There was a showing I went to where he did it on purpose. He purposely pressed it when he didn't have to anymore, and got me all wet. But it's a nice little fun interactive show. Get your kids involved in it a little bit more. In this part, you can see here Grover's foot is asleep and he's tracking it. Silly Grover there. But this is now the part of the show where Rosita has her number, and this is really fun because they take a song that was originally performed by Romeo Santos, ladies and gentlemen. Who, if you don't know who Romeo Santos is, I don't know Rocky Been Under, but whew, you gotta get into the Latino music scene. Because Romeo Santos, he's that guy, along with Bad Bunny. But they sing. I can't even say the name of the song now. I sing it all the time. Two goes. Oh Jesus! Quit! I can't say it now, Scott. Now that I'm on camera, I can't say it. Quinceto su amigo. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna cut this part out, and we're gonna do a voiceover.
Yeah,
So this part is gonna be cut out. But this is a part where Rosita sings her song. It's a really fun number, originally sung by Romeo Santos. Um, Grover and Abby come out, as well as Elmo, and they dance along with some Rosita as she sings her song. This is a really nice number, and it's really upbeat. And as you see here, compared to like the other live shows I was talking about at Sesame Place, this one has real choreography. These characters are
a
moving
lot
in
of it.
ways they haven't been moving before. It's more organized, which I can appreciate though, because it seems like the characters are having more fun while performing. And it really does show in these videos. And from this song, Cookie Monster comes out, and he has this giant cookie, and of course he wants to have his cookie show. And I didn't mention it before, but Rosita wanted to have a music concert. And now we move on to Cookie, and he sings "C is for Cookie" because he wants to have a cookie show. Now, what do you do during a cookie show, you might ask? Eat cookies. what better way? Cookies and milk. But he sings this fun little rendition of "C is for Cookie." One thing I thought they were gonna do differently in this rendition of at least the PA show was, I thought they were gonna alter the lyrics a little bit more. But they kept all the lyrics the same. And what I mean by this is he purposely mentions California in the song as a C word. Obviously, it is a C word, but he mentions California because the show originally debuted in San Diego. So I thought they were going to remove that line for this show, but it actually stayed in. And obviously, it doesn't make a difference if it stayed in or not because it obviously serves the purpose of being a C word. But it's something that they did not change in this version. But something that they did change in this version was they would add additional characters to scenes to make them different from one another, which is something that I appreciate in this production. Because this production seems a little bit more vibrant and more live, in my opinion, than the other counterpart in San Diego. And they utilize the stage a lot more in this version than San Diego does. But yeah, they sing "C is for Cookie" with these giant cookies. And then we go back into Grover. He's still on his mission to fix his bubble machine. But of course, oh yeah, that's the scene. That's the part where he sprayed the water when he didn't have to spray the water at me. So that's the extra scene of Grover trying to get his bubble machine to work. But he can't. And then here comes Abby Cadabby, basically talking about what she wants her show to be. And she wants to have a magic show because she's a fairy and trader. And she sings this nice little number about having magic everywhere around her, pretty much. And she just showcases her talent. As a fairy, she makes the lights light up. She makes the houses back there, the bird houses, move around, and she makes the flowers move up and down. She basically just showcases her talent and why she should have a magic show. And from that scene, guys, we pretty much get the characters coming back together, trying to decide what kind of show they want to do. And they pretty much come together and say, we're just going to have a welcome show. And they just welcome everybody to Sesame Street that way. They just incorporate everybody's show into one welcome show. So they pretty much have the dancing, the magic, the cookies, and the music concert, as well as the bubble show, all into one. Now, personally, the writing on this show was very, very, very low. And the only thing I don't agree with or like that they did with this is try to dumb down the audience in a way. And just to have the resolution, oh, we're just going to put them all together. We could have did that from the jump. Just put them all together and then have them do their acts one by one. I felt like that would have been a better execution. Outside of that, it's still a well done and well good show. That's my only gripe about it. I felt like they were kind of trying to dumb down the audience in a bit. Like, the audience is smarter than that. I felt like they should have just, hey, let's come together, let's do this welcome show, let's incorporate all our ideas, and then, all right, Elmo, you go first, or Abby, you go first, and then have them each do their number that way. Outside of that, it's still a great show, and they end the show off in a good note, in my opinion. They ended off with Welcome, which is a classic Sesame Street song, and then they come out with these top hats. That's one thing that makes this version better than all the other versions that are out there, is that they come out with these top hats. These elegant costuming for these characters, and it's just a fun little end to the show. And that's pretty much the show. This is what we have now currently at Sesame Place, and it's actually a really good, fun show for the family. I believe this might be the only stage show we have in 2024. I know that was pretty much all we had in 2023. Make Your Magic did not return, and it's starting to seem like Make Your Magic is not returning in 2024. I did see a picture of the Sesame Street Theater, and it's just blank. They haven't even converted it back to the Magic of Art set, so I don't think they're going to. But this is the current show at Sesame Place, and this is what we're currently going to be seeing for the next few years. It's definitely a welcome addition to the park. It's definitely a welcome show. No pun intended. But yeah, it's a really great addition to the park. And Sky, you have any other thoughts on this show? Critiques, dislikes, likes?
Well, I think is the content of the show is pretty well rounded. I mean, I think it's one of those things. It's one of those shows that can be timeless. You know, I can see it being around for a very, very long time. As far as the cast of characters, I always, just because I'm biased and I love Bert and Ernie, and I hate when they're not in something, but it's definitely accurate to the direction the park is going. And as far as what you can still see, obviously this one is still running. This is obviously the newest show, so this is going to be around for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's Play Together, probably not coming back. I don't know, maybe, but it doesn't seem likely. And as far as the Buccaneers show, if they do, you know, the whole Pirate Weekend again, and if they bring that show back, for anyone that wants to see any of these, should probably go see it when they do it again, because I can't imagine they're going to be having it around for that much longer, just because it's been around for so long, and they're adding so much.
Yep.
Yeah, and this theater in general opened in 1990 when Sesame Island opened. But this picture right here is from when it was retitled in 2007 to Abby's Paradise Theater when the Treasure Hunt show appeared. They kept the clock up there that had been there forever. I'm not sure why there's a pumpkin behind Abby. I don't know
So I know why there's a pumpkin. So Abby's running thing is like with her magic, she used to produce a lot of pumpkins. So like, she's trying
I remember.
Yeah. So and then her
that.
catchphrase was like, "Oh, pumpkins." So I assume that's exactly why the pumpkin is there.
Yeah. Yeah. So this sign here was around for 16 years. They just took this down recently, and now it's a lot brighter.
They replaced that clock with Abby.
Yeah, so now Abby's up there. They got rid of the clock, and there's a new full one-piece sign right there.
I realized they have this new sign literally right above that door.
Yeah.
There's no space.
Nope. And the colors of the theater are actually exactly the same. I don't think they've ever changed the actual color scheme, aside from...
That's something I appreciate.
Yeah, because I think at least from this time period onward, I'm trying to remember if it actually had a different color really early on. I know the interior where the stage is, that obviously changed a lot and looked very different. It used to be a very plain little rectangle, and they did like a show called Pet Pals, and it was just animals and nothing related to the characters at all. But yeah, as soon as it became Abby's, she's been in every show there since then, which I think is...
It's definitely fitting.
I think it's fitting, yeah.
It's definitely fitting. I mean, I love Abby. Over the years, I've grown to love the character and what she brings in the essence. Because I grew up on Zoe, but I definitely see the appeal of the character, and there's so much love for Abby and the type of character that Leslie, the Muppeteer, has made her. She reaches a lot of little girls and a lot of little boys as well. And such a fun character. This is what the Paradise Theater currently looks like, guys. This is the set of Welcome to the Party. Now, if you want to know how I got this picture, Google. I did not take this myself, even though
I think you'd be surprised how great the acoustics are in here.
Oh yeah,
because they do a good job of blocking out sound from outside the park. It's actually really, really well made.
And they just upgraded the sounding system in here as well. So.
That's right, yeah.
So everything is sounding better, everything is looking better. This is such a fantastic theater. And not only are we going to talk about obviously the modern stuff, but we will get into the holiday overlays that have came to this theater as well, because there's some interesting shows that have some interesting history at this park that are still running. That we are definitely going to talk about in due time. This went longer than we both thought it would.
Definitely, yeah. Just realized.
Definitely not our most enthusiastic episode. I know I wasn't as enthusiastic as I always am. Excuse me.
I think it's informative. I think we want to go over everything.
Yes. We want to go over everything for sure.
You know, over time, we want to cover everything. And this theater specifically, you'll see we only did like the latter half of the history of it, and we're already over an hour. So we do have to break everything up into smaller episodes. But I think that helps, because if people are only interested in, you know, certain things or certain show or certain category, it kind of helps narrow it down. And we'll put all the timestamps and everything below for each show if you want to just skip around to stuff and make it easy to navigate.
Absolutely. And then, guys, we have some really good episodes coming in the near future. We don't know what's next or what's before this. You'll get the episodes in whatever sequence we want to put them out. But definitely keep on the lookout. We have some interesting things coming. We have some good guests coming in the future. And if anybody wants to be on, hit us up.
And if anybody has, you know, if you guys have memories of seeing any of these shows, or, you know, let us know in the comments what you've seen. How many of these have you seen? Which one do you like the most? You know, just whatever you or what you think about all of them, what you like or don't like, and
if you have,
of course, if you have pictures, videos, always any media, we will take them.
Yes. And if you guys have any suggestions or topics that you guys want us to discuss, definitely leave a comment. We will definitely take your suggestion. Yeah.
I mean, you know, like we said, eventually we'll get around to everything at some point. But if there's something, you know, you guys want to hear about first, or want us to talk about, or, you know, or if you know somebody that we would think would be a good guest, or you are one, or, you know, always reach out. We'll listen to all the feedback.
And we will have fans on the show eventually too. So don't ever think that this is just a alumni type of thing. It mainly is, but we're definitely going to give love to fans.
We'll definitely have fans on, and we'll talk to them about their visits, and, you know, what they've done and what they like, and
because this is a big open dialogue of what the brand means to everybody. This is,
and I think at some point, even me and Neil could probably interview each other. You know.
Exactly.
So, there's a lot to come.
Lots to come, guys. All right, so this has already been an hour and 15 minutes. So we're gonna wrap this up now. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Sesame Spectacle podcast. I've been Neil.
I'm Sky. Thanks for watching, guys.
See you next time.